cute.
Good morning, Susanne.
Morning, Deborah Leanne.
We've had a bit of a hiatus, and we were even together in person when I was visiting you, and we just haven't felt like we had anything to say, but we've had lots to say. So after the last few weeks of saying a lot and not sharing, you taught me yesterday that sometimes you just share anyway, right? Because we're being ourselves. So if you're feeling that there's a lot going on and you don't know where to land, let us just say that we're pulling out all of our stops and all of our practices to do just that, to manage the nervous system. Your beautiful posts yesterday, do you want to share any of that stuff and how it ties into even the gene key of the week or the transits in the planets? Or
So yesterday I did a post about our nervous system. So if you're feeling overwhelmed, my one of the things I tend to do is if I feel overwhelmed, I shut down and I numb. I'll do just about anything just to not feel all of it. And I just feel like there's so much new information coming through, or you might be feeling somebody else's shiznit. And this week's gene key is the energy is all about provocation. That's the shadow of provocation. And it could either be trapped or it could be provocative. And as we move through that and find the gift is dynamism. And the acidic state or the
it sounds so big, like you dynamite crap and blow it up. I mean, to me, I'm like, dynamism. So how do you interpret it? I know Richard, speaks about it and writes about it in his materials. By the way, we're talking about the Gene Keys here by Richard Rudd.
And when I think of dynamism, I think of our own creative light. It's the spark. It's the God spark.
That makes a lot of sense. Thanks.
It's and play is dynamism in action. It's expression. And I've been feeling a lot of that because play, whenever people associate with play, it's like a dirty word. Taboo. It's nasty. I only do that if I'm vacationing,
And even then you don't, because most people have to book themselves solid on a vacation.
Right.
And I think that comes from our puritanical roots. So I just want to point out that we were, our country was founded, Christianity is founded in that you have to work hard and you need to sacrifice and you need to be a martyr and blah, blah, blah. And as we are unwinding from all those old wounds, it's no surprise that it's all coming up for us to, I was going to say play with.
Yeah, exactly.
Work through, play with, however you. So thank you for talking about dynamism in that way. Then, so just for those of you who are a bit new to the Gene Keys, I just want to remind us all that we all have these human shadowy wounds of things that we're working through, and especially now transmuting and finding the gift in each of those shadows. It doesn't mean they're going to go away. And even if we work through our own, we're going to be surrounded with collective. We're breathing it in. We're, standing in line at the grocery store next to people who are feeling all of this. And how do we be the light bearers, way showers, truth tellers in this time?
And it's being you, fully embracing you and me. And I recognize that when we do things or we're doing things that we love, that's the natural God spark coming out, right? That's us embodying what we came here to be, play, own.
Yeah. And the other piece is sometimes it won't feel like play. It will feel like I'm just going to breathe through this moment of contraction. It's kind of
Right.
like when you're birthing a baby,
Right.
you need to feel that pain, which creates I love the provocation to move into the new space.
Right.
And I think for many of us spiritual, been on these paths of consciousness, raising ourselves and the planet, for so long, it's hard for us to go, oh, I have to feel all of this. I need to, because we want to shove it away and go, I'll pray it away. I'll meditate it away. You know,
Right. And this is
and that's not good. Spiritual
this
bypassing does not help.
this is in the ring of seeking. So this makes complete. But one of the practices that I just, shared yesterday, I mean, I do a lot of toning, and like my body gets cranky if I don't like use my voice and get energy out. So I do a lot of that and breath work. But if we want to kind of recenter ourselves again, when we all get together, a lot of the times we just be still and like hold our belly, put our hand on our heart, and kind of ground that way. But another method is see 5 things that are around you. Look or touch, tactile, touch 4 things that light you up or that, bring you joy. Listen for 3 things in your vicinity, and then smell. Look for 2 things that you might smell around you, and then 1 thing that you love to taste, and bringing yourself back into your body. Because I think what happens when we feel so much, we sometimes disassociate.
Yeah. And jump out of our bodies.
Mm-hmm. Jump out of our bodies. And it's like coming back into our body to remember that we are human and we want to treat one another with that compassion, and as well as ourselves with this love, and taking care of ourselves and our system, and not being fear, fright, fight, flight.
I love that. And I remember hearing that as a way to support somebody who is going through a panic attack or an anxiety attack, especially when I'm coaching and we touch up on an old memory or something that's showing up somatically for them. And then when they dig deeper, something is released. Sometimes it's very difficult to stay in that space. And many of the teachers I work with say to turn into it versus turning and running away. So when you turn into it, you're accepting it, you're allowing it, maybe someday we'll be able to embrace it so that that's when the gift of it comes out. That's when you're transmuting that lead into gold. You're being the alchemist. So we've been playing with a lot of our tools. And I'm just so curious if you have some tools that you've been putting away for a rainy day, or you were like, oh, that was so 90s or whatever. I was thinking about Reiki recently, and I'm like, oh, well, we do that all the time, calling in the healing and talking to ourselves and putting our hands on ourselves. I feel like I'm constantly doing Reiki on me. But the 2 things that I noticed that I have gotten away from, and I just did it again, I did it this morning, is I put cacao in my coffee. That is such a plant medicine to support my softening into my heart space. It just, because coffee can rev you up, and I feel like the cacao brings me back into the connection with Gaia and the womb and all of that. So that was one that I hadn't done in, I don't even know, maybe since I was at your house a long time ago. And the second one is my oils. Right. I'm really getting back into what oils do you want this morning? And the third thing that I've been doing is I've been waking up super early every day and looking outside just as the sun is rising. I'm like, I love how that happens. So I get to say, good morning, sun. And, and it's these beautiful, orange balls of light in the sky. And I just say, I receive all your light codes and thank you for being there for us. So, what are things that bring you back to you? Because I feel like that's what we need right now, right? Not people jumping out and running away or spiritually heading out into the upper realms. We need you down here as a light warrior. Do you want to speak about the Siddhic state, since we are still playing in this gene key? Is it 39?
39. 39 is all about liberation.
Of course.
I mean, liberation is very tied to, I mean, you think of the word liberation, you also think of freedom, you know, and that's kind of funny coming up with July 4th this week. But this is definitely the tension of transcendence. That's how Richard describes this key in general. And just feel into the frequency of that word liberation. You know, I think when we're feeling into it, we know our true spiritual freedom is always liberated. It's tapping into that knowingness of our complete whole being, that our whole system can relax, because this is a tied to the adrenals.
Oh, yeah.
So yeah. If we tap into liberation and know that your essence is always in that free state, yeah, that's it. That's it. That's the juice.
And that's so beautiful. So I feel like I didn't even pull up the mudra or anything. I feel like this isn't as much about a teaching that we're doing today. It's just a sharing, and it's just a reminder that we need everyone's light. We need everyone to come back in. I feel like all of our support system, whether you want to call them the divine or angelic or, you know, unseen realms that are holding us right now, even the planets with all they're dancing through the sky right now. They're doing all kinds of changes, supporting us through this time. So we don't feel like we need to shoulder it all ourselves. So this is sometimes when the word that comes to mind is surrender. And I think you brought that up the other day, which I thought was so beautiful. So see, all of our conversations have been feeding into this conversation. I love that. And how do we want to be the change? You know, how do we want to, we have physical bodies, so we can march the earth and bring that divine energy here and now. And I feel like that's our job. If you want to call it a job, it's our purpose. So do you have cards to share, darling?
Oh, again, I haven't done a lot of card drawing, but
no, but the other day when you pulled the star seed ones, I was just in heaven. What are you pulling from today?
Yes, this is the Cosmic Consciousness Ascension deck by Jamye Price. So it has light codes on it. Top, middle, or bottom?
Middle. I'm in the middle of it.
Okay, this is all about communication.
Oh,
and this is
gorgeous.
From the Sirius.
Of course. One of my favorite stars.
Yeah. And this is all in initiation. And when we think about this key or this communication, what I'm sensing from this card right now is, how are we communicating to other people, to ourselves? And let's see what it says. But that's my first hunch when I see it, is that. Communication. Okay, so it says, I communicate authentically with myself and others. If you're receiving vast amounts of information subconsciously, your body interprets and categorizes vibrational information and files it for future use, sorry. And communication is both verbal and nonverbal. You're capable of reading intention that indicates a truth that is not always present with words and actions. So it's important to become aware and learn to trust your instincts. And as the majority of communication is unspoken, Your empowerment builds as you learn to communicate more authentically. So the light language is opening you up to a deeper communication with yourself and life, supporting your release of patterns of suppression. The Syrians are helping to open the power of deep communication to improve life. So there's 4 things to kind of think about here.
Okay.
Notice your authentic intention behind your words.
Mm.
Observe the silent communication between others to hone your intuitive skills.
Mm-hmm.
Communicate in a compassionate and supportive manner.
Mm-hmm.
And do not avoid confrontation at the expense of your empowerment.
Ooh, that's big for me because that's where I've been really practicing. And I, it's so funny because I know sometimes we're like, well, I don't really feel like I don't know what to say, or I don't know what words will be healing for others. And I'm coming back to that's go deeper. It's not about that. It's about the energy system. Once I get into that state of presence, the words flow naturally. And it's not even the words, because that's how we feel. We get the energy, right? We get the energy behind it. So thank you for being you with your energetic presence and your words too, because they are healing. They are loving, and we need more of that.
More,
Those
please.
more
Thanks.
of those light codes. Thank you very much. So until our next time together with you all, thank you so much for being here, and take good care of you and tuning into your light. We so need it right now.
Many, many blessings.
Yeah. And happy Freedom Weekend.